Hi everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel Tech Data Engineer. So continuation with interview series. So today I'm going to explain few questions related to Cloud Composer. Okay, so most of the questions asked for data engineering interview. If you are basically you work with the Cloud Composer, so these certain types of questions they can ask from the Cloud Composer. Okay, so I'll explain how to answer these questions and what are they. Okay, so you'll get understandings and revisions also by watching this video. Okay, so let's start with the first questions. Okay, so what is Cloud Composer? Okay, so we should understand what is Cloud Composer and how to answer that questions. Okay, so they can ask the difference between Cloud Composer and Airflow also. Okay, so first we need to understand what is Cloud Composer. So Cloud Composer is nothing but it is a fully managed workflow service. Okay, so basically Cloud Composer it is nothing but it is it is a fully managed it is a fully managed workflow workflow orchestration orchestration service. Okay, okay, so how it is different from Apache Airflow, which is open source? So I'll explain that also. Okay, so first we need to understand Google Cloud Composer is a fully managed workflow orchestration service. Okay, and that is basically built on top of the Apache Airflow. So we have already Apache Airflow. We have already Airflow, which is built on top of that, and then we have the upper layer that is called Cloud Composer. Okay, that is Cloud Composer, and which is managed by Cloud Composer, and which is managed by basically Google. Okay, which is managed by Google. Okay, so if you'll open the GCP console, you can see always the Cloud Composer UI. Okay, and from there you can run the DAG, you can interact with the services, you can check the logs, DAG history, everything you can check it from the Cloud Composer. Okay, so so we understand what is Cloud Composer. It is basically a fully managed workflow orchestration service. Okay, so it basically help to automate, schedule, monitor complex workflow. Okay, so how it will help? You can automate, schedule, and orchestrate and monitor complex workflow. Okay, we can use this one. Okay, so this is basically so data related job. Okay, we have other TWS also. We have scheduler that is for enterprise level scheduling. We can use this, but for cloud data centric data cloud native solution, we are basically using this as a Cloud Composer. Okay, so why we are not using the Cloud Airflow? Why we are not using the Apache Airflow? Why we are using the Google Cloud Composer? What are the benefit for that? Okay, so so if we are installing all these dependency and all the infra related stuff for the Apache Airflow in your system, you have to manage each and everything. Okay, so instead of managing the Airflow infrastructure yourself, here what Google manage. Okay, so what Google manage? So Google manage Airflow installation. Okay, so Airflow installation. So Airflow installation, K8 cluster, okay, where our jobs are running, okay, any job, a Spark job or DBT job, any jobs running. Then we have the scheduler, we have the workers, okay, we have the database monitoring, upgrade. So everything is managed by Google. So these are the benefit of using the Cloud Composer instead of using the Apache Airflow. Okay, so what you have to do, you have to only write the DAG. You can write the DAG, you can deploy your DAG, and that's it. Okay, your work is done. Okay, so now we will understand the architecture of Google Cloud Composer. Okay, so what is the architecture? So we have the suppose this we have the Cloud Composer. Okay, Cloud Composer, then we have other layer, we have the Apache Airflow. Okay, we have the Apache Airflow, then after that we have GKE cluster. GKE cluster is basically where our jobs are running. Okay, so that it is creating the pods and everything. Okay, if you see in your cluster, it is basically creating a Google pod. Okay, so basically pods where our jobs are running. After that we have the workers or schedulers. Okay, so you can see workers plus scheduler. Okay, so this architecture you need to remember, because most of the time they can ask the question. They are not asking the simple I can say theoretical questions. If you're experienced, they can ask questions on architecture also. Then after scheduler and worker, we have other way layer we have, that is called metadata DB. Okay, basically for managing all the metadata. Okay, metadata about DAGs, and also we have metadata DB. Okay, so after metadata DB, what is the other layer? We have the GCS bucket. GCS bucket where our jobs are running. Okay, so DAG, plugins, data, everything is getting stored here. Okay, so we understand what is Apache Airflow, why it is different from the Apache Airflow, what is Google Cloud Composer, how we are managing each and everything. Okay, so this is about Cloud Composer. Now coming to the second questions. So how do you use Cloud Composer? Okay. So how do you use Cloud Composer? So Cloud Composer. So why do, sorry, not how do you, why do you use Cloud Composer? So why we are using Cloud Composer? So we already know for schedule any ETL pipelines. Okay. Schedule, we can say like schedule ETL pipeline, schedule ETL pipeline, then run BigQuery job, BQ jobs. Okay, for running the BQ job on orchestration, we are using the Cloud Composer. For triggering any data flow, okay, trigger the data flow. Okay, data flow. We are using that triggering data flow. Then what way we are using? Then we are using the calling any REST API. So we can call any REST API. Okay, REST API also. REST API also we can call. Then we can for sending any emails, send email, monitoring any monitoring, Dynatrace. So all related things we can use Cloud Composer. Okay, so this way we can answer that. Now the third question is, what components are created when when a Composer environment is created? Okay, so this is important question, as I face many times. They are asking question related to that, like what components are created when a Composer environment is created. Okay, so how we can answer that? So whenever we are, so whenever a composer environment is created, so what are the things getting created? If you understand the architecture, you can answer the question. So first things getting created is GKE cluster. Okay, GKE cluster. Then after that we have the airflow scheduler. Okay, airflow scheduler. Then after that we have airflow workers node. Okay, airflow workers. Then we have wave server. Okay, wave server. Okay, so if you have worked with the Google Cloud Composer, you understand each and everything. If not, then please watch my video where I have demonstrated through the Cloud Console, and I have created the DAG, and I have deployed also how we can use all these things. Okay, so web server. Then after web server, we have the Cloud SQL database. Basically for metadata, they are using that. Okay, so Cloud SQL database. Then we have Cloud Storage Bucket. Cloud Storage Bucket. Then we have monitoring and logging. Okay, we have monitoring and logging also. Then we have the network resources. Network resources. So these are the components got created whenever you are using the Cloud Composer. Okay, coming to next questions. So they can ask, this is simple, but they can ask what is DAG. Okay, so what is DAG? So DAG stand for direct acyclic graph. Okay, so it is basically a directed acyclic graph. Okay, so direct acyclic means which don't have any cycle. Okay, so this is basically a, you can say, we can consider like this is basically a DAG. Okay, this is not DAG. Okay, this is not DAG. Okay, because there is a cycle. So if there is a dependency, B have dependency on A, C have dependency on B. So for running this job, we need this job to be computed. Okay. So if these types of dependencies are there, we can say it is a DAG. Okay. So it defined the workflow execution basically. So why we are using DAG in case of Airflow? So basically it defines the workflow execution. Okay. So the properties are directed, no loop, task dependency, and schedule execution. Okay. So I can just so this is one of the okay, this is basically the extract layer. Okay, extract, then we have the transform, and then third we have the load. Okay, we have the load. Okay, so extract, transform, and load, these three things we have. So that is basically a DAG. Okay, now coming to next question. So what are the main Airflow components? Okay, so we already know what are the components. We have the scheduler. So they can ask what are the components. We already know we have the scheduler, then we have the executor, which worker node, then we have the workers, then we have the web server. We already covered these questions. Metadata, then we have the trigger and DAG processor. Okay, DAG processor. Okay, these are the component we have. Okay, now we will see explain scheduler in Airflow. Okay, so what is basically scheduler? Okay, so what scheduler do? So they can ask questions. So what scheduler? So scheduler basically it will do? It will read the DAG file. Okay, first thing what it can do, it read DAG file. So DAG file is where it is getting stored. It is getting stored in your GCS bucket. Okay. So it reads the DAG file, determine when DAG to run. Okay. So scheduler, the name suggests scheduler is scheduling the job. Okay. So then it determines, second step what we have to do, determine when DAG should run. Okay. Then what next step? Then it create task instance. Okay, it create task instance, and then it send task to worker. Okay, send task to worker for execution. Okay, so without the scheduler, no DAG executed. So because there is no scheduler, no job executed. Okay, what are the DAG files? Where are the DAG file stored in Cloud Composer? Okay, so basically, our cloud DAGs are stored in our GCS bucket, something like that. Okay, so GS, something like that. If you know the locations, Composer, Composer, then we have the DAGs file. We have the DAGs file. Okay, so these types of location we have to store in the basically Cloud Composer. They can ask questions related to that also. Okay, so when DAG is uploaded, so we have GCS. So from GCS, who can read that things? Scheduler. Okay, scheduler. Then we have the Airflow database, Airflow database, and then we have the workers. Okay, then we have the workers. Okay. Now the next question is, how do you deploy a DAG? This is very important. This question is very important. They can ask directly questions related to how do you deploy a DAG. Okay, so if we have worked with a DAG, definitely they can ask. So there are multiple way. First way we can see using GS util. Okay, GS util. So how we can deploy a DAG? So how we are writing the gcloud command. Okay, Google Cloud command. So gcloud. Then what we are doing? We have the storage CP examples we have. So suppose we have the test DAG. Okay, so test.py, any Python file, and what is the location? So location would be something like that. Okay, composer and DAG. Okay, so by this command we can do that, or we have some bash command also. So either we can use the gsutil command, like Google command. You can open the Google console and then you can do that, or we have the bash things also. So we can use like gsutil. Okay, gsutil, Then again same thing. So here is storage, here directly we can see CP, then we have the test.py and the GS location. Okay, cloud and something like a DAG. You can do like that. Okay, these are the way. There are other way also. You can do through REST API and all, but these are the standards. So you can use GSUtil and you can do that. Okay, so that way you can basically schedule the things. Now they can ask questions related to operator. So explain the operator in Airflow. So there are multiple operator. Okay, but mostly common are Python. Okay, Python operator. We have the WAS operator. We have the BigQuery, insert job operator, insert job. Okay, then we have the email operator, basically to send the email. Then we have the empty operator. Okay, so these are the operators we have. Okay, we need to understand the each operator work also, how we are creating. So mostly we are using the Python and Bash. Okay, these are the operators we have. Then next question is how do retries work? Okay, so if we have already worked with this ones, we understand how does retries work. Okay, so how we are, so if we are defining any tag, suppose we are defining the default arg. Okay, so default argument if we are passing, then how we are passing, we are passing here retries equals to retries colon 3. If you are passing retries equals to 3 means 3 times it is getting, and then we are passing the 3 time it is getting executed, and we are passing the retry delay. Okay, retry delay we are passing, then we are passing the time date, and we are passing the minute at what interval we have to do the retry. So minute we are passing means after 5 minutes 3 times we have to retry for if job is getting filled. Okay, so this way we are passing. So default argument is retry equals to 3, retry delay equals to time date, and minute equals to 5. Okay, so when there is a failure happen, what it will happen, it will retry. Okay, it will retry first, then again after 5 minutes it will retry 2, then if again it will happen retry 3 after 5 minutes, and then if not then it getting failed. Okay, so this way basically our retry works. Okay, then we will explain what is catch up. Okay, so if you have already worked in the productions level, we know why we are using the catch up. Okay, so catch up is basically, catch up controls the whether missed DAGs are okay, so catch up is basically controls whether missed DAG runs are executed or not. Okay, so we have multiple DAGs. Okay, so if we have suppose DAG 1, DAG 1, DAG 2, multiple DAGs are there, right, in the production environment. So it basically catches if missed DAGs are runs or not. So how we can do? We can say it like a catch up equals to catch up equals to true. If your catch up runs, so if you are making catch up equals to true, it basically runs the historical schedule. Okay, and if catch up equals to false, so run only the latest executions. Okay, so if we are making catch up equals to false, so it only the schedule the future or latest execution. Okay, so for most productions pipeline we are making future equals to false. Why? Because it should not run the previous failed executions. Okay, previous failed lag. Okay, so that way we are using. Now we need to understand what is the difference between schedule interval and start date. Okay, so start date is defining basically, this is basically defining when schedule begin. Okay, so when scheduling begin. Okay, when we need to start our scheduling, and what is the schedule interval, it defines how often the diagram. Okay, so in day we wanted 2 times, so that is basically the schedule interval. So how often dag run. Okay, so this defined like that. So this is the difference between schedule interval and start date. So how we are defining something like a start date. Okay, start date equals to date time, date time. So date time we are defining like 2026, then we are defining 7 and 22 means today it will start. Okay, and then what is the schedule? Suppose I am doing like schedule equals to daily, so daily it should run from today onwards. So this way we are defining the schedule interval and start date. Okay, now coming to the next questions basically. So how do you trigger DAG manually from the CLI? Okay, so how we are doing, so how we so basically um, so if we are using the Airflow CLI inside your Composer environment, inside your Cloud Composer environment, if you see we have the Airflow, we have the Airflow CLI. Okay, we have the Airflow CLI. So using Airflow CLI, you can do like Airflow DAX trigger, and then you can whatever your DAG name is there, my DAG. Okay, you can run like that. So if you are using this command, you definitely you are able to run your DAG manually. Or if you are using, if you are not using Airflow CLI, if you are using the Cloud CLI, Google Cloud CLI. Okay, Google Cloud CLI. If you are using cloud Google Cloud CLI, how we are using? We are using the, we can use the G Cloud. Okay, G Cloud, then Composer, then we have the environment. Then we can do like environment, which environment you have to run. Then we are passing the environment name. Environment name. These are the variables. We have to pass the environment name. Then we can pass the location where our jobs are there. Location equals to region. Okay, and then we are passing the tag trigger. Okay, these are the command tag trigger, and then we are passing the, suppose tag name is like my tag. Okay, so these are the variables. So environment you have to pass, region you have to pass, and then my tag name you have to pass if you are using the Google Cloud CLI. So we need to remember this. They can ask the, I can say tag, how we are doing, how we are executing the triggering the tag manually, so they can ask. Okay, then we have the how do you monitor and troubleshoot a cloud computer DAG. Okay, so that is very important. So how do you are monitoring and troubleshooting? So first what we have to check. So if any jobs fail, first you have to check your Airflow UI. Okay, so in Airflow UI, what we can see, you can view the DAG, you can view the DAG, you can check the task graph, you can check the task graph, you can check the logs, retries, everything you can check it from the your Airflow UI. Second thing we can check from the cloud logging. Okay, so from cloud logging you can inspect the scheduler, we can inspect scheduler, worker, task log, everything. Okay, then third we have the cloud monitoring. Okay, so we have the cloud monitoring, we have the cloud monitoring. So from that we can track the environmental health, environmental health, CPU, memory, all these things. Okay, then we have the fourth one is the cloud SQL metadata. Okay, metadata. So metadata, what we can check, we can check the review, DAG, run, as task state information, task state information. So these all things we can check it from there. Okay, okay, so these are the questions. So if we have any other questions, difficult questions, please do comment. I'll try to answer that questions. Okay, thank you, thanks for watching.